Chapter 5497 was shocked. Yun Chujio did not have any displeased expression when she heard Yuchi's words. Instead, it was Ding-er who shouted angrily, "Do what the leader tells you to do. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Yuchi was so angry that her face turned red. However, she did not dare to face Ding-er alone. She could only grit her teeth and start to pick the ice. Everyone realized that they had gathered together according to Yun Chujio's strange position. Other things aside, it was much warmer. Could it be that her goal was this? Chen Shi saw that Group 9 had gathered randomly and even changed to a two-person team. She snorted coldly. She didn't know how that idiot Chojio became Group 9's team leader. It was simply a blind command. However, this was also good. With her mischief, Group 9 would definitely not be able to complete the mission. They could only wait to be punished. Group 8 on the other side of Group 9 also saw the situation of Group 9. They all had contemptuous looks on their faces. Group 9 had such a team leader. It seemed that they were useless. When the people of Group 9 saw the gazes of those people while they were working, they felt miserable in their hearts. They wished that they could strangle Yun Chujio, who was sitting on the soft couch and eating melon seeds, to death. The guards on the shore also saw Hei Shinjio, who was leisurely. However, they knew that Yun Chujio did not have any ice-picking mission these 3 days, so they turned a blind eye to it. Yuchi tried to hold it in, but she still could not hold it in. She said in a bad mood, "Hey, why do you want us to stick to the position you set to pick ice? Are you deliberately messing with us?" Yun Chujio said slowly, "Rude child, remember to call me leader in the future. Otherwise, when I become ruthless, even I will be afraid of myself." Yuchi pursed her lips. She was just a piece of trash and she was still threatening her? Forget it, I don't want to waste my breath on her. I will deal with her after she loses her power at night. Soon, 2 hours passed. One after another, teams finished mining a piece of solid ice. Then, they went to the position that Yun Chujio had drawn and continued to pick the ice. When Yuchi's team finished mining, they were surprised to find that there were 4 pieces of solid ice around their team that had already been cut off, except that the bottom was not separated from the ice surface. Everyone was stunned. What was going on? If they used tools to separate the bottom of these 4 pieces of solid ice, wouldn't there be 4 more pieces of solid ice? Oh my God! Could this be the reason why Chojio asked them to line up like this? Had she calculated this long ago? The position they were at happened to form the edge of the 4 pieces of ice, so they had unwittingly mined 4 more pieces of ice. Even if it took some time to mine the bottom side, there would still be 3 more pieces of ice. Although the speed of changing from 3 to 2 people slowed down a little, it was still much faster than usual. Just when Yuchi and the others were shocked, Yun Chujio said slowly, "How is it? Although my leader's cultivation is a little useless, but his brain is enough. Don't make a fuss. Hurry up and work. Tomorrow morning's meat buns are waving at you guys." Yuchi's expression was very interesting. She gritted her teeth and did not say anything. No matter what, this ugly Jio's brain was really good. This way, her group of 9 could definitely rank in the top 3. Yun Chujio calculated in her heart. If the other groups discovered this method, not only would they not be able to keep the top 3, the higher-ups might even increase the amount of missions. Hence, she had to think of a way. This guy blinked his eyes and said a few words to the people in Group 9. Everyone looked at each other. They were all impressed by this new leader's brain. There was still more than 2 hours before the usual end of work. Group 9 had already completed the task with ease. Chapter 5498. Hei Shinjio. Although the members of Group 9 had completed the mission, they did not stop. Instead, they continued to mine the hard ice. Even the extremely weak Yun Chujio joined the team to mine the hard ice. It was not until Yun Chujio estimated that it was almost time that she said, "All right, let's stop." Everyone immediately rushed to the shore. Hei Shinjio did not care about her weakness anymore. She rolled and crawled to the shore with the help of Ding-er and Shenwu. The guards who inspected the everlasting ice were very surprised when they saw that Group 9 had completed the mission first. However, on second thought, Chojio had joined the ice mining team. In this way, Group 9 had one more person than the other groups, so it was normal for them to be slightly ahead to complete the mission. Therefore, they dispelled the doubts in their hearts. The other groups had the same thoughts as these guards. If their group had one more person, they could also get first place, so no one doubted it. After returning to the dormitory, Yun Chujio sat on the bed and smiled with satisfaction. She knocked on the copper basin in her hand and said, "The first meeting of the 9 teams will be held now. I will call the roll first." Everyone was speechless. This guy was a fan of many officials. If he had something to say, he could just say it. Call the roll. Call my S. However, thinking of this guy's plan today, everyone could only reluctantly cooperate with Hei Shinjio. Ding Er, here. Shinwu, here. Even when Yuchi's name was called, she gritted her teeth and agreed. After Yun Chujio called out the names, she nodded in satisfaction. Everyone's performance today is pretty good, our leader is very satisfied. Today, we have a total of 13 pieces of assets. If this goes on, even if there is a stir in the future, we are not afraid. Not to mention the top 3, the first place will always belong to our 9 groups. This way, not only will we have enough food, but we will also have more time to cultivate. As long as you follow the arrangements of this ancestor, passing the assessment is just around the corner. Are you all confident? One had to say, Hei Xinjia's words were very provocative. Even Yuchi, who disliked her the most, felt that it was not bad to let her be the group leader. Well, at least for the time being, it was not bad. After Yun Chujio held the summary meeting, she sat on the bed and looked at her team members happily. Even though she had been a female emperor before, she did not seem to have as much of a sense of accomplishment as she did now. These people had been bossy and looked down on her 2 days ago, but now they had become obedient little sheep. Therefore, brains were a good thing. While Yun Chujio was lamenting, Dinger brought her some water for washing up and even heated it up with his spiritual power. Yun Chujio nodded in satisfaction. Although this Dinger was not very smart, he knew how to adapt to the situation. As long as such a person clung to the right thigh, he would be able to do well. The next morning, the people of Group 9 ate the meat buns as they wished. It was simply wonderful. Qin Shi and the others, who were close to them, were so angry that they gritted their teeth. They were furious in their hearts. No matter what, they had to be faster than Group 9 today. Unfortunately, for the next 2 days, Group 9 was first place. All of them felt elated and straightened their backs, like a group of proud little roosters. Cough cough, little hens. The other groups had looks of envy, jealousy, and hatred on their faces. However, on second thought, Group 9 had gotten first place 3 days in a row because Ugly 9 had gotten the advantage of being exempted from the mission. Now that 3 days had passed, the 9 groups would be beaten back to their original state today. Let's see how they can continue to show off. Chapter 5499 7-Colored Ice Prawn. His team at the quenching workshop was eagerly waiting for the 9 teams to reveal their true form. However, by the evening of the same day, the 9 teams still managed to win the first place. Other than envy, jealousy, and hatred, the other teams were also a little suspicious. Could it be that the 9 teams had found a good solution? They did not pay attention to the formation. They thought to themselves, could it be that 2 people in a team was better than 3 people in a team? The next day, the other groups also changed to 2 people in a group. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. In order not to reveal the secret, she asked Ding and the others to split up. They had accumulated a lot of inventory in the past few days. Even if they did not follow the formation, they could still get first place. Therefore, even if the other groups risked their lives to get faster than usual, the first place was still held by the 9th group. In the next few days, the 9th team was sometimes in formation and sometimes scattered. The nearby 8th and 10th teams could not find any clues at all. Yun Chujio had been taking care of herself for the past few days and her body had finally recovered. However, she was lazy most of the time. Although the other members of Group 9 were dissatisfied with her laziness, they could not say anything since the newly appointed team leader had fulfilled his promise. Just when Hei Shinjio was doing well, the new manager of the Quench Fire Workshop was appointed. The new manager's surname was coincidentally Yu. When they gathered, he looked at Yun Chujio as if he was poisoned. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Could this new guy be related to Manager Yu who was killed by the giant ice wristband? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Manager Yu said gloomily, "From today onwards, Team 9 doesn't need to pick ice anymore. Your next mission is to catch 7 colored ice prawns. Your daily mission is to catch 10 of them." The moment Manager Yu said that, everyone present looked at Group 9 with gloating eyes. Group 9 was going to be unlucky. Really unlucky. Other than Yun Chujio, Shen Wu, and Wei Ba, everyone else in Group 9 had pale faces. It was over. It was really over. Although Yun Chujio and the other two did not know why everyone had such a reaction, they could guess that the 7 colored ice prawns would not be easy to catch. Manager Yu's eyes were full of malice. This Chojio had killed his brother. She was really courting death. He was now the manager of the Quenching Fire workshop. It was easy to kill her. When they were dismissed, a guard who looked unfamiliar handed a shrimp fishing rod and 10 sets of special bait to Team 9. Yun Chujio asked tentatively, "Can you give us more bait?" No one could guarantee that one set of bait could catch a 7-colored ice prawn. No matter what, they should at least provide a few extra sets of bait. The guard sneered, "These bait are all specially made, and the price is not cheap. If you want more, then get more. If you don't get out now, be careful of your dog life." Yun Chujio nodded with a disappointed face. She added this guard to the black book in her heart. This guard was very unfamiliar, and it was most likely someone brought by Manager Yu. Yun Chujio put away the fishing rod and bait and asked, "May I know where to catch the 7-colored ice prawns and what method to use to catch them?" The guard looked impatient. "Why are you talking so much nonsense? If you don't know how to fish, then don't fish. Just wait to be punished. Hurry up and get lost." Yun Chujio saw the contempt and viciousness in Manager Yu's eyes. She knew that she couldn't get anything out of him no matter what she asked, so she immediately left the square with Group 9's people. After leaving the small square, she asked Dingu, "Do you know where to catch the 7-colored ice prawns?" Chapter 5500 The Dangers of Catching Prawns. Dinger said with a sobbing tone. It said that the 7-colored ice prawns are one of the top ingredients in the Divine Enlightenment continent, and their taste is extremely delicious. However, the process of catching them is extremely dangerous, so only some candidates who make mistakes will be sent to catch the 7-colored ice prawns. 9 out of 10 times they will fail. Moreover, most of the people who catch prawns will lose their lives because of this. At this moment, Yu Chi said angrily, "Chojio, you must have implicated us." Manager Yu and Manager Yu of the Thousandwood Workshop looked somewhat similar. They must be his relatives. That was why he would seek revenge and want to kill you. "We are really unlucky to be in the same group as you. We won't be able to live this time. It's all your fault. You evil spirit." Yu Chi's words represented the thoughts of many people in Group 9. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio with dissatisfaction and hatred. It was all her fault. They definitely wouldn't be able to live this time. 10 7-colored ice prawns? They probably wouldn't be able to catch a single one, and they might even lose their lives. Yun Chujio didn't even look at Yu Chi. She asked Ding, "Tell me where you're fishing for 7-colored ice prawns and how you're fishing." About 50 miles away from where we usually pick ice is the gathering place of the 7-colored ice prawns. Those 7-colored ice prawns will occasionally go under the air hole to get some air. We will place the fishing rod in the air hole. If we are lucky, there will be 7-colored ice prawns biting the hook. Dinger explained. Yun Chujio heard this and felt that it was not too difficult. Why were these people so worried? Dinger saw through her thoughts and said, "Those 7-colored ice prawns are very cunning. Even if the bait is specially made, they won't bite the hook easily. Moreover, they will occasionally use a method to eat the bait but avoid the hook, so they can only lose the bait for nothing." This was not a big deal. The main reason was that the 7-colored ice prawns were very strong in the water. If one was careless and caught the prawns, they would be dragged into the ventilation hole, and they would definitely die. In addition, although this was the gathering place of the 7-colored ice prawn, there were also other sea beasts. If one was not careful, they would be dragged into the ventilation hole by the sea beasts. 9 out of 10 of the candidates who made mistakes before would be dragged into the ventilation hole, and they would lose their lives. Moreover, 10 in a day? I'm afraid we won't be able to catch even one. This is clearly a punishment for us. Yun Chujio frowned. It was indeed a little troublesome. But no matter what, they had to go to the ice surface to take a look first. As soon as the people from Group 9 reached the ice surface, Chen Shi came over and gloated. "TSKSK, I told you people can't be too arrogant. The higher you fly, the harder you fall. This is bad luck, right? Haha, 10 7-colored ice prawns? Don't even talk about completing the mission. It's already good enough if you can keep your lives. Don't blame me for not warning you. If you're dragged into the air vent, you'll definitely die." The rest of Group 10 were also gloating. Group 9 was definitely doomed this time. Although the other groups were not as obvious as Group 10, they were clearly looking forward to the show. Weren't Group 9 showing off? Weren't they capable? Let's see what they will do this time. Yun Chujio looked at Chen Shi and 11. She said lightly, "We will know the result at night. You don't have to be so gloating. We are all just fish waiting to be slaughtered. I really don't understand why you are so happy." After saying that, Yun Chujio did not care about Chen Shi's reaction. She brought the people from Group 9 to the place where they were fishing for the 7-colored ice prawns. Chapter 55:01 Shrimp fishing. The people in Group 9 all drooped their heads. Some of them, like Yu Chi and the like, still carried a bit of resentment and would occasionally glare at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio frowned slightly, but did not say anything. As the journey went deeper, the weather became colder and colder. Everyone could only circulate their spirit energy to resist the cold. Thinking about the outcome they were about to face, everyone's heart felt even colder. Finally, everyone arrived at the location where they were fishing for prawns. Yun Chujio discovered that the air holes here were obviously much more densely distributed than other places. It seemed that there were indeed quite a number of 7-colored ice prawns gathered here. Yu Chi and the others did not dare to get too close to those air holes. If they accidentally slipped into them, they would really be in deep trouble. Yun Chujio walked to the vicinity of an air hole and looked inside. The thickness of the ancient ice was very shocking, so the hole was extremely deep and she couldn't see what was happening below. She looked for a while, then walked to the side and said to everyone, "Yu Chi is right. This time, I've implicated you guys so you guys can just watch from the side. I'll fish the shrimp myself. If I'm lucky enough to catch enough 7-colored ice shrimp, that would be the best. If I'm unlucky enough to be dragged into the hole, I'm afraid that I, the main culprit, will die and manager you will not find trouble with you guys. Alright, you guys step back, I'll do it myself." After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she took out the fishing rod, placed the bait on the hook, and threw it into the air hole. Then, she held one end of the fishing rod, squatted on the ground, and wiped her tears. Shen Wu and Wei Ba were the first ones who could not stand it anymore. They walked to Yun Chujio's side and said, "We'll accompany you. If there are any strange movements below, we'll hold you. As long as you let go of the fishing rod, you won't fall down." Yu Chi snorted coldly. "Release the fishing rod? This fishing rod is specially made. If you lose it, there will definitely be a heavy punishment." Shen Wu glared at her. "No matter how important the fishing rod is, how can life be important? Do you even have a conscience? If it wasn't for the leader allowing the giant ice wristband to calm down, you would have died a long time ago. Also, why didn't you disassociate yourself from the leader when you were eating meat buns a few days ago? Now that you're in trouble, you're pushing all the blame onto the group leader. Are you still human?" The group leader would rather bear the responsibility on his own than implicate all of you. If all of you had any conscience, you shouldn't have said such derisive words. Yu Chi was blushing from Shen Wu's words. The others were also silent. They admitted that what Shen Wu said made sense, but it was a matter of life and death. They were truly afraid. Dinger hesitated for a moment and walked behind Yun Chujio. He thought to himself that if she wasn't strong enough, he could grab Chojio. No matter what, he had to save her life first. Moreover, Dinger always felt that Chojio was full of bad ideas. She didn't look like a short-lived ghost. Maybe things would turn around. After a while, people came to Yun Chujia's side one after another. They gritted their teeth in their hearts. At worst, they would be beaten with a cane and treated as a meat bun that was still Chojio. In the end, only Yuchi was left. She stomped her feet angrily and said, "Ugly 9, if I lose my life because of you this time, I will not let you off even if I become a ghost." After saying that, she also walked behind Yun Chujio and glared at the crying Hei Shinjio. "Sob sob sob sob, you guys really moved me. Don't worry, when the 7-colored ice shrimp sees how kind you are, it will definitely take the initiative to bite the hook." Chapter 55:02 Goeibatsao catching prawns. When everyone heard Yun Chujia's words, for words floated in their minds at the same time, nonsense. The 7-colored ice prawns were extremely cunning. Why would they take the initiative to bite the hook? They definitely wouldn't be able to complete the mission today, and they would definitely be punished tomorrow. Yu Chi said in a bad mood, "Chojio, don't get your hopes up. If the 7-colored ice prawns were so easy to catch, the ascending dock would have already started fishing on a large scale. After all, the 7-colored ice prawns are much more expensive than some hard ice." Yun Chujio ignored her, because this guy was thinking in his heart, should he eat the 7-colored ice prawns sashimi or boil it? Should he steam it? Actually, braising it was not bad. If the other people in Group 9 knew what this guy was thinking, they would probably kick this guy into the air hole. They did not even see the shadow of the 7-colored ice prawns, but this guy already had evil intentions. How big was his heart? An hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. Seeing that it was already afternoon and there wasn't the slightest movement from the fishing rod, everyone's hearts sank to the bottom of the valley. It was over. They were definitely going to return empty-handed today. Since that manager Yu was targeting Chojio and their 9 groups, even if they didn't die tomorrow morning, they would at least lose a layer of skin. Yuchi was both afraid and angry. She said unhappily, "Chojio, didn't you say that the 7-colored ice shrimp would take the initiative to bite the hook? You should let it bite and see." Yuchi's words came to an abrupt end because the fishing rod was shaking violently. This meant that there was a prey biting the hook. Everyone's spirits were immediately jolted. Could it be that there was a 7-colored ice shrimp biting the hook? Shen Wu hurriedly hugged Yun Chujia's waist to prevent her from being pulled down by the prey below. Wei Ba saw the situation and hugged Shen Wu's waist while Ding Er hugged Wei Ba's waist. The people behind automatically followed behind, and Yu Chi was the last one in line. Yun Chujio said proudly, "How is it? I told you that there would be 7-colored ice prawns taking the initiative to bite the hook, right? It might be a string." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. A string? Catching one was already not bad. Yun Chujio said as she reeled in the fishing line. When she pulled the thing below out of the ice, everyone was dumbfounded. Yu Chi laughed coldly, "Chojio, is this the string of 7-colored ice prawns you mentioned?" Yun Chujio looked at the huge bunch of water plants on the hook and used her divine sense to scold the Goeibatsao. "You idiot! I told you to catch prawns down there. Why did you get me such a bunch of broken grass? Are you looking for a beating?" Goeibatsao that was pulling the grass in the water shook its leaves. Ice prawns were indeed precious and water plants were even more expensive. Besides, these were not ordinary water plants. They were all fragrant snacks. After getting used to the herbs on land, it was not bad to change the taste occasionally. Yun Chujio felt the emotions conveyed by Goeibatsao and said angrily, "Hurry up and catch the prawns for me. They'll give you time to pull the grass tomorrow." When she checked the air holes in the morning, she put Goeibatsao in and let it catch the prawns in the water. After catching the prawns, it hung on the hook. However, to avoid suspicion, she did not let the Goeibatsao catch prawns immediately. Instead, she let it play for a while. Goeibatsao was naturally very desirable. It was so beautiful down there. However, the Goeibatsao soon found the aquatic plants that it liked. Unfortunately, it was not in its original form and could not eat them, so it had to collect a lot of them. When Yun Chujio spoke, Goeibatsao hung on the hook. Goeibatsao listened to Yun Chujio's words and shook its leaves guiltily. Then it went to catch shrimp. Chapter 55:03 Why don't you eat it? Goe-Bat-Asao didn't catch prawns in the morning, but it wasn't idle either. It observed the habits of the seven-colored ice prawns and found that these seven-colored ice prawns liked to hide in a kind of seaweed. Therefore, Goe-Batsao hid in that kind of seaweed. When the seven-colored ice prawns came over, this guy suddenly strangled the seven-colored ice prawns' necks with its leaves and directly strangled them to death. These seven-colored ice prawn didn't have any offensive abilities. The reason why they could reproduce was because of the geographical advantage. The underwater temperature was extremely low, and the terrain was quite complicated. Ordinary sea beasts wouldn't survive here. Even if there were some natural enemies, the seven-colored ice prawn could use the complicated terrain below to escape. Unfortunately, these 2 points weren't difficult for Goe-Batsao. Therefore, Goe-Batsao caught these seven-colored ice prawn with a piece of cake. Goe-Batsao did the same thing and killed 10 seven-colored ice prawns in a flash. This guy thought for a while, and it made that stupid girl angry again today, so it caught 2 more seven-colored ice prawns. According to Yun Chujio's instructions, the 12 seven-colored ice prawns were cut into a string with water plants, and a lot of water plants were wrapped around them to fool people. Then they were hung on the hook. The people on the ice realized that the fishing rod was shaking again. Although they felt that it was unlikely, they still hoped to catch the seven-colored ice prawns. Even if they only caught one today, it was still much better than returning empty-handed. The punishment might be lighter. However, they soon let out a scream. That was because they were stunned to see a string of seven-colored ice prawns hanging on the hook. That's right, it was a string. Those seven-colored ice prawns were entangled by aquatic plants. They looked like they were already dead, but they should have just died not long ago. It was extremely fresh. Yun Chujio looked at the 3-foot-long seven-colored ice prawns and 108 ways to make them appeared in her mind. This guy swallowed his saliva and looked around. Due to the bad weather here, the guards of Ascending Heaven Dock did not follow them to guard. Anyway, they were sure that Yun Chujio and the others had nowhere to go. This guy suddenly had an idea, and his eyes lit up. Everyone came back to their senses and exclaimed, "Oh my God! It's really a bunch of them. 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, ha! There are 12 of them. We don't have to be punished." How did these seven-colored ice prawns get hooked? They seemed to have died before they got hooked. Didn't you see that they were all entangled by aquatic plants? I guess they were caught by the aquatic plants when they were chasing after them. Coincidentally, they got hooked by the hook of the fishing rod. It's possible. I have to say, our luck is too good. Yun Chujio dragged the seven-colored ice prawns to the side and asked the crowd to remove the seaweed from the seven-colored ice prawns. Everyone looked at the 12 seven-colored ice prawns on the ice and their emotions were rather complicated. Yun Chujio kept 10 of the seven-colored ice prawns into her storage ring, but she left the 2 largest ones outside. Everyone was puzzled and looked at her. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. "Everyone, we worked so hard to catch these seven-colored ice prawns. Don't you want to taste the taste of these seven-colored ice prawns?" Everyone couldn't believe their ears. What? Could it be that she wanted to eat these 2 seven-colored ice prawns? If this was discovered by others, they would definitely be punished. Yu Chi cried out in shock, "Are you crazy? If we're seen by others, we're dead meat." The others also shook their heads. There was really no need to take the risk for the sake of eating. Chapter 5504 Eating Prawns. Yun Chujio sighed. "Do you think I'm greedy? Am I that kind of person?" Everyone nodded and thought, "Yes, you are." Hei Shinjio pretended not to see them nod and continued, "If we hand in these 2 prawns, tomorrow's mission will be 12. Everyone was stunned. Thinking of the enmity between Manager Yu and her, the possibility was very high. Wei Ba thought for a moment and said, "Team leader, then you can keep these 2 seven-colored ice prawns. If we can't catch enough tomorrow, we can use them to make up the numbers." Hearing this, everyone expressed their agreement and felt that this idea was not bad. Yun Chujio shook her head. This seven-colored ice prawns is different from hard ice. Even if it is placed in the storage ring, people with a good heart can detect the time of its death. When the time comes, it is inevitable that they will make use of this point, so it is safer to eat it. Ding swallowed his saliva and said, I think what the team leader said makes sense. There are no guards here, so there's no need to be afraid of being seen. Moreover, if we all eat it, we'll be in the same boat. We're not afraid of anyone reporting us, so it's better to listen to the team leader and eat it. The others were also somewhat tempted. Although they could barely eat their fill because they had been the best recently, they still coveted it. Moreover, these 7-colored ice prawns were top-grade ingredients. Not only were they delicious, but they were also full of spiritual energy. Seeing that everyone was silent, Yun Chujio knew that they had tacitly agreed. Therefore, she took out a big metal pot, chopped the 2 7-colored ice prawns into pieces, and threw them in. She asked everyone to take turns using fire spiritual energy to cook the prawns. Not long after, the fresh fragrance spread. Everyone could not help but swallow their saliva. If not for the fact that they still had some rationality left, they would have pounced on the prawns and taken a few bites immediately. Yun Chujio estimated that it was almost done cooking, so she asked everyone to take out their bowls and chopsticks to split the shrimp. Finally, there was still a piece left in the pot. Under everyone's persuasion, Yun Chujio reluctantly ate it. Yun Chujio saw that there was a lot of shrimp soup in the pot, so she took out noodles from her storage ring and threw them in. After a moment, everyone split another big bowl of noodles. Everyone felt that they were too fucking happy. They had never eaten such a delicious meal and enjoyed it so much. On one hand, the taste of the 7-colored ice prawn was extremely delicious. On the other hand, they had been living an inhuman life recently. Naturally, they felt that the prawn meat and noodles were the most delicious. At this time, the sun was about to set. Yun Chujio put away the big iron pot and cleaned up the traces on the ice surface. Some of the prawn heads, shells, and the like were all thrown into the air holes to avoid any future trouble. Seeing that there was nothing to be missed, Yun Chujio said, "Let's go back to the city." After walking for a while, Yun Chujio looked at the people with red faces. "You can't go back like this. Make it look pitiful. It's better if you are dead or alive." The people understood and quickly pretended to be tired. The guards who had checked the hard ice had already left. No one was waiting to check the 7-colored ice shrimp. Therefore, Yun Chujio led Group 9 to the Ascending Heaven dock. Yun Chujio brought people to Manager Yu's courtyard to report to him. However, she was told that Manager Yu had gone to Altar Master Deng's place to discuss something and was not in the courtyard. When the arrogant guard saw Yun Chujio and the others in the morning, he was certain that they had not completed their task. He snorted coldly and said, "Manager, you won't be back for a while. You guys should go back first. It won't be too late to hand in the task at the gathering tomorrow morning. Also, you guys came back too late today. You don't have to eat breakfast tomorrow." Chapter 5505. I have proof, Yun Chujio said with difficulty. "If we leave now, what if Manager Yu blames us? We'd better wait here." The guard sneered, "You're taking yourself too seriously. Manager Yu doesn't have the time to argue with you. If he asks you to leave, then leave quickly. If you don't, then I won't be polite." Yun Chujio begged again and again, but the guard still insisted on letting them leave. He also asked someone to forcefully expel them from the courtyard. The crowd was naturally furious. Not only did he chase them out, why didn't he let them eat breakfast? He was just a small guard and he could make the decision? He was really going too far. Fortunately, because they had given too much meat buns a few days ago, they hid some. Even if they didn't eat breakfast tomorrow morning, they wouldn't be hungry. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. When Yun Chujio and the others returned to the dormitory, the other groups came out to watch the show. When they saw that Group 9 was in a sorry state, they could not help but gloat. It seemed that Group 9 definitely did not complete the mission. They would definitely be punished the next morning. Chen Shi's dormitory was next to Yun Chujio's. She clicked her tongue and said, "It seems that you guys did not complete the mission. Otherwise, why are you all like roosters who have lost a battle? Have a good sleep today. If you receive the punishment tomorrow, I'm afraid you won't be able to sleep tomorrow night." Ding-er wanted to argue, but Yun Chujio winked at her. Ding-er snorted coldly and followed Yun Chujio into the dormitory. Yuqi and the others also followed in. This situation in the eyes of the others further confirmed their guess. Team 9 didn't complete the mission. They were going to be unlucky. The next morning, everyone took out their secret stash of dry rations and ate them. Only then did they follow Yunchujio to Manager Yu's courtyard. Manager Yu's face was as dark as water. After everyone had arrived, he shouted, "Chojio, how dare your Team 9 return to the dormitory without handing in their mission yesterday? What crime should they commit?" Ding-er and the others immediately panicked. How could they be blamed? It was clearly the guard in his courtyard who did not allow them to wait in the courtyard. Yunchujio said calmly, "Manager Yu, we arrived at your courtyard last night, but Guardsman Lu said that you went to the dock lord to discuss something and asked us to hand in the mission to you first thing this morning." As soon as Yunchujio finished speaking, Guardsman Lu sneered, "Nonsense. I'm just a guard, how can I overstep my authority to order you? It was clearly you who didn't complete the mission and were afraid of being punished, so you didn't come to hand in the mission." Ding-er and the others were so angry that they were dumbfounded. Guardsman Lu was lying through his teeth. He was the one who drove them out of the courtyard. Manager Yu sneered, "Not only did you fail to hand in the mission on time, but you also made irresponsible remarks and slandered others. This is unforgivable. Men, punish Chojio on the spot. The rest will be disqualified and sent to the cold wilderness mine." Ding-er and the others' heads buzzed. It was over. Their lives were over. Manager Yu looked at their desperate looks and revealed a sinister smile. If they wanted to blame someone, they should blame themselves for being in the same team as Chojio. They should just admit their bad luck. Just as he was feeling proud, he heard Yunchujio say lightly, "Wait. Manager Yu, I have evidence to prove that Guardsman Lu is lying." Guardsman Liu's face was unbridled. Evidence? Who in this courtyard would dare to testify for them? Unless they didn't want to live anymore. Chapter 5506, Who was lying? Manager Yu's mouth was full of a sneer. "Oh, then you can present the evidence." Yunchujio said lightly, "Last night, our Group 9 was chased out by the guards in this courtyard. They know the whole process." Manager Yu knew who was lying when he asked. Guardsman Lu almost laughed out loud. This ugly Jio was really stupid. She was even more stupid than a pig. These guards would only testify for her if they were stupid. A hint of contempt flashed in Manager Yu's eyes. He looked at the guards in the courtyard and asked, "Tell me, which one of them is lying?" The guards looked at each other. Most of them did not say anything. Naturally, they did not dare to speak up for Yunchujio. However, they felt that it was hard to lie without conscience, so they might as well not say anything. However, there were also people who wanted to curry favor with Manager Yu. Immediately, four people stood out and said, "Manager Yu, we can prove that Chojio is lying. They didn't come to hand in the mission yesterday, and Captain Lu didn't chase them away. They are completely lying." Guardsman Liu's face was even more smug. "Now, let's see what this bitch has to say." Manager Yu's face turned even gloomier. "Chojio, at this point, what else do you have to quibble about? Execute him on the spot." At this moment, a voice sounded, "Manager Yu won't be back anytime soon. You guys should go back first. It won't be too late to hand in the mission tomorrow morning at the assembly. If we leave now, what if Manager Yu blames us? We'd better wait here. You're taking yourself too seriously. Manager Yu doesn't have the time to argue with you. If he asks you to leave, then leave quickly. If you don't leave, then I won't be polite." Everyone present was stunned. They soon found the source of the voice. Yunchujio was holding a recording stone. She had a faint smile on her face, but it made people feel cold to the bone. Guardsman Liu's expression changed immediately. He pounced on Yunchujio, obviously wanting to snatch the recording stone from her. Yunchujio threw the recording stone into the distance, and Guardsman Lu immediately pounced on it like a dog attracted by a bone. After he took the recording stone, he crushed it into pieces. His face was ferocious. The evidence had been destroyed, so he would rather die than admit it. However, at this moment, his voice came from Yunchujio's side again. He looked up and saw that Yunchujio still had a recording stone in her hand. Guardsman Lu was about to snatch it again when Manager Yu reprimanded him coldly. Enough! You falsely passed my order and framed Cho Jio and Group 9. The crime cannot be pardoned. Take them away and punish them with 30 strokes of the cane. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. To them, it was either to punish them on the spot or to send them to the cold wilderness mine, but to Guardsman Lu, it was just 30 strokes of the cane? However, it didn't matter. Sooner or later, they would be sent on their way together. She raised her eyebrows slightly. Manager Yu, the 4 people who helped to perjure the evidence, what do you think? Manager Yu said with a gloomy face, each person will be given 20 strokes of the cane. The 4 people were so regretful that their intestines turned green. They wanted to hug their thighs, but in the end, they couldn't hug their thighs. Instead, they had to be punished by the cane. However, the enforcers were all his own people, so they probably wouldn't beat him too hard. It was just a formality. Guardsman Lu thought the same. Presumably, those enforcers wouldn't dare to beat him too hard. It was just a minor superficial injury. Chapter 5507 was mercilessly beaten just as Guardsman Lu and the others were hoping to get away with it. They heard Yun Chujio say calmly, Manager Yu, Guardsman Lu falsely passed down your orders. He is extremely audacious. If Altar Master Deng were to know about this, he would probably be extremely furious. Moreover, if he did not punish him severely, there would probably be others who would follow suit in the future. Why don't we punish him in front of everyone so that everyone will learn their lesson and serve as a warning to others? Manager Yu looked at Yun Chujio fiercely and looked at the recording stone that Yun Chujio was tossing around. He knew that she was threatening him with Altar Master Deng. If this matter reached Altar Master Deng, although that old man did not dare to do anything to him, it was inevitable that he would trip him up. Men, execute him here. Beat him up. Manager Yu said coldly. Guardsman Lu and the others were so scared that they almost fainted. If they were to be beaten up, they would lose half of their lives even though they wouldn't lose their lives. However, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, if they were to be investigated, it wouldn't be just a small punishment. Immediately, some of the execution guards held their staffs and prepared to execute them. Yun Chujio said faintly, don't play favorites. After all, Manager Yu is in a fit of anger. If you play favorites, you might lose your lives. When the 10 executioners heard this, they did not dare to play favorites. Their punishment sticks landed on Guardsman Lu and the others. Instantly, the courtyard was filled with shrill screams. Everyone's scalps went numb when they heard this. Ding-er and the others were trembling with fear. If it weren't for Cho Jio being smart and recording in the recording studio, their lives would have been over. Those guards thought that it was fortunate that they did not perjure themselves just now. Otherwise, they would also be punished by the punishment sticks. This Cho Jio was really strange. Whoever offended her did not seem to have a good ending. It was better not to offend her in the future. Manager Yu's face was so gloomy that water was about to drip down. He stared at Yun Chujio with an extremely sinister gaze. He was determined to teach this bitch a lesson when Team 9 failed to hand in their mission later. After a moment, the punishment was over. Guardsman Lu and the other 3 had already fainted. Manager Yu ordered his men to drag them away, and then said gloomily, Cho Jio, did you finish your task yesterday? The other groups, especially Qin Shi, immediately revealed a gloating expression. Although Group 9's people had escaped a calamity, if their task was not completed, they would probably lose a layer of skin. However, what made them dumbfounded was that Yun Chujio calmly took out 10 7-colored ice prawns from her storage ring. Manager Yu's pupils shrank. It was actually completed? He looked at the 7-colored ice prawns carefully and found that they seemed to have been entangled by something and died. He asked, did you fish these 7-colored ice prawns? Why do they seem to have been entangled by something and died? Yun Chujio said calmly, Manager Yu, this is also our luck. When these 7-colored ice prawns were caught, they were entangled by water plants. I guess they were accidentally entangled by water plants and suffocated to death. When everyone heard this, they thought to themselves, these 9 groups were really lucky. They could even encounter such a good thing. Manager Yu gritted his teeth. He wanted to make trouble, but there was no reasonable reason. He calculated in his heart that good luck yesterday did not mean good luck today. He did not believe that there were 7 colored ice prawns that were entangled by water plants every day. Thinking of this, he said gloomily, although you have completed the mission, the quality of these 7 colored ice prawns is not very good. You don't need to eat lunch for half a month. Chapter 5508. Try saying one more sentence. Ding and the others were dumbfounded. They were not allowed to have lunch for half a month? There was no dinner in the first place. If they did not eat lunch, were they planning to starve them to death? Yun Chujia's face was also a little pale. She asked, Manager Yu, if we can complete the mission earlier than the other teams, will we still get the first place treatment? Manager Yu sneered. Your missions are not the same, so naturally there is no comparison. So you can refer to the treatment of the last place treatment. Everyone finally understood at this time. This Manager Yu clearly wanted to starve the 9 teams to death. Unless they had stored food in their storage rings, otherwise, this half a month would be difficult to endure. If their bodies became weak, they might fall into the air hole directly. Yun Chujia's face became even paler, and Ding and the others' faces were as pale as paper, but they didn't dare to say anything. Manager Yu was very relieved when he saw this. He said a few more words and urged everyone to go to work. After leaving the heavenly dock, Chen-Shi came over and gloated, "Teeth, how pitiful. They can only eat 1 steamed bun and a bowl of porridge a day. Some people are going to suffer. However, it's easy to say that I'm hungry. If I can't complete the mission, I'm afraid my life will be over." Just as Chen-Shi was speaking, a dagger was placed on her neck. Yun Chujia's cold voice came into her ears, "Try saying one more sentence." Chen-Shi was instantly dumbfounded. She never expected Yun Chujio to suddenly make trouble, and she never thought that she would actually let a piece of trash place a dagger on her neck. "Chojio, are you crazy? Aren't you afraid of being punished by the guards?" Chen-Shi said with a trembling voice. "Humph. Just as you said, our group 9 members might die one day. It's not bad to drag you down with us," Yun Chujio said coldly. 2 words immediately flashed through Chen-Shi's mind. Crazy. This Chojio must have been too traumatized and went crazy. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to get better, and she didn't want anyone else to get better. Chen-Shi immediately panicked when she thought of this. She quickly said, "Chojio, Sister Chojio, I'm joking with you. Don't be agitated. Let go of me quickly. I promise I won't talk nonsense in the future." Yun Chujio removed the dagger that was pressing on her neck and used the dagger to pat her face. "Get lost." Although Chen-Shi hated her to death, she still ran away in a sorry state, afraid that Yun Chujio would really go crazy and kill her. Yun Chujio's cold and fierce gaze swept across the other groups who were watching the show not far away. She sneered and said, "All of you be smart. Our group 9 is not so easy to bully. If anyone wants to add insult to injury, they will die with us." Those people shivered. They still wanted to pass the test and enter the Divine Enlightenment continent, so there was no need for them to compete with a madman. Therefore, they stopped watching the show. Yun Chujio looked at the guards who were supervising them and said indifferently, "Will you go and report to Manager Yu? If you want to report, just go now." Those guards looked at each other and then looked up at the sky. They didn't see or hear anything. What a joke. This Chojio was full of bad ideas. If they went to report it, she might bite them back. They didn't want to repeat the mistakes of Guardsman Lu and the others. Moreover, Chen-Shi, who was held by a dagger at her neck, didn't even have the intention to report it. Why did they have to go back? Chapter 5509. Eating some vegetables to relieve the boredom. Yun Chujio was very satisfied with the people's ability to adapt to the situation. Previously, she had purposely said that she wanted these guards to be witnesses in order to intimidate them. Now, it seemed that the effect was not bad. Ding and the others were already scared silly. Especially Yu Chi. Thinking about how she had provoked Yun Chujio a few days ago, her neck felt a cold breeze and she did not even dare to look at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not say anything else and took the lead to go to the ice surface where they were fishing for prawns. Ding and the rest were like obedient little quails, obediently following behind. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. They even forgot about the fact that they did not have lunch. In reality, they did not have lunch yesterday. After all, it was so far away from the freezing point. Those guards would not even send them lunch. When they arrived at the shrimp fishing spot, Yun Chujio asked everyone to turn around. Although Dinger and the others didn't understand, they didn't dare to disobey her. Yun Chujio released the Goei Batsao. She knew Goei Bakao's nature too well. The spiritual power released yesterday was only enough to let it show off for a day. Otherwise, she was afraid that Goei Batsao would cause trouble under the river at night. Therefore, she had to release the Goei Batsao again every day. After the Goei Batsao showed its cuteness to Hei Shinjio, it happily hopped into the air vent. Yun Chujio's mouth twitched. She threw the fishing rod into the air vent and said lightly, "Okay, you can turn around now." Ding-er and the others did not know what to say or do. Ding-er was better off. She had a correct understanding of Yun Chujio's black heart, but the others were still unable to digest this fact. They peeked at Yun Chujio from time to time. When they saw her indifferent expression, their hearts pounded even more. Yun Chujio ignored them and took out a handful of water plants and stuffed them into her mouth. Everyone, Ding-er hesitated for a moment, then painfully took out a meat bun and handed it to Yun Chujio. "Team leader, if you're hungry, eat this." Yun Chujio knew that she had misunderstood, so she said lightly, "No need. I'm tired of eating meat. I'll eat some vegetables to relieve my boredom." The corner of Ding-er's eyes twitched, but he was happy to save a meat bun. Yun Chujio glanced at the crowd and said, "Leave the shrimp fishing to me. You guys cultivate." Although the crowd was not confident that Yun Chujio could complete the shrimp fishing mission, they felt relieved when they saw Yun Chujio's calm expression. They immediately began to cultivate. Although the climate here was extremely cold, it was a great thing to have so much time to cultivate. Yun Chujio sat on the soft couch and fed the Guai Chow in her dantian while thinking about her next plan. She didn't care about a clown like Manager Yu at all. The only thing she was worried about was how to pass the test. The heavenly lightning didn't come down for a long time. It seemed that she had to find time to let the 3 dogs in her dantian spit out some lightning power to help her break through. Although she could only break through to the 8th level of the Spirit Extinguisher realm at most, it was still a little stronger than now. Soon it was noon. Everyone had not eaten enough in the morning. Training and resisting the cold had consumed a lot of energy, so they had to take out what little food they had left and prepare to take a bite. At this moment, the shrimp fishing rod moved. Like yesterday, everyone hurriedly hugged the waist of the person in front of them one by one to prevent Yun Chujio from falling down the ventilation hole. Chapter 55 10 Stewed meat pancake. When the fishing rod was pulled up, everyone was dumbfounded. What was hooked on the hook was not a 7-colored ice shrimp, but a sea beast. They were not familiar with the sea beasts here, and they did not know the name of this sea beast. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and deal with it. Let's stew the meat." Yun Chujio swallowed her saliva and said. Everyone was stunned at first, then they started to get busy. After all, they had even eaten the 7-colored ice prawns, so eating this sea beast was not a burden at all. Yun Chujio took out a big iron pot, various seasonings, and a bag of flour. Then she sat on the soft couch happily and watched the crowd get busy. Ding-er's cooking skills were not bad. Soon, she put the sea beast meat into the pot and then stuck a circle of large pancakes on the side of the pot. An hour later, everyone gathered around the big metal pot and had a good meal. The satisfaction of having a full stomach made Hei Shinjio glow in their eyes. It seemed that it was not bad to follow her. Although they were on tenterhooks, at least they could eat their fill and have enough time to cultivate. When it was almost evening, Yun Chujio first caught a big cluster of aquatic plants, and then caught a cluster of 7-colored ice prawns that were entangled by the aquatic plants. Ding-er and the others were both surprised and happy. It was another bunch of 7-colored ice prawns? Could it be that God had finally opened his eyes? They were finally starting to get lucky? Yun Chujio let Ding-er stew the 2 extra 7-colored ice prawns, and everyone had a good meal again. After cleaning up the traces, Yun Chujio brought the hungry people staggering back to the sky-climbing dock. Yun Chujio went straight to Manager Yu's courtyard. Manager Yu saw them in a sorry state and sneered, "Why? Didn't you finish the mission?" Yun Chujio sighed, "The 7-colored ice prawn is too hard to catch." Manager Yu heard her and was even more sure that Yun Chujio didn't finish the mission. He shouted coldly, "Men, Group 9 didn't finish the mission. Each of you will be given 30 strokes of the cane." Yun Chujio laughed coldly in her heart. The group that had not completed the mission before was only given 5 strokes of the cane. Now it had become 30? "Manager Yu, aren't you a little impatient? Who said that we have not completed the mission? Here, you point at it. Is it 10? Yun Chujio threw the 10 7-colored ice prawns on the ground. Her face was full of mockery and cold laughter. Manager Yu looked at the 7-colored ice prawns on the ground and his expression changed a few times. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Good, very good. Since you guys have completed it so easily, then tomorrow's mission will be increased to 12. Yun Chujio said lightly, "Yes." Manager Yu saw that Yun Chujio's expression was indifferent. It was as if a fist had smashed on cotton. He felt an unspeakable frustration in his heart and waved his hand to let Yun Chujio and the others leave. In the next few days, even though Manager Yu increased the mission of the 7-colored ice prawn to 15, 9 groups still completed the mission. Although they were in a sorry state every time they came back, they did not look like people who had been starving for a few days. Instead, they felt more energetic than the other groups. That morning, when Yun Chujio and the others went to work, Guardsman Lu limped to Manager Yu. "Manager, are you going to let this bitch run wild? Why don't I just kill them with my men? Anyway, they're about 50 miles away from the others when they're fishing for ice prawns. Even if they do it, they won't be seen by others. When the time comes, just say that they fell into a ventilation hole. No one will suspect anything." Guardsman Lu hated Yun Chujio to death. If it weren't for Manager Yu giving him high-quality medicine, he would still be lying on the bed. Chapter 55:11. The fishing rod that flew out by itself. Manager Yu thought of Yun Chujio's increasingly arrogant attitude and nodded. "Do it cleanly. Don't leave any evidence." "Manager, don't worry. Those pigs won't be able to stir up any waves. Wait for my good news." Guardsman Lu said confidently. Manager Yu frowned slightly. "Don't be careless. If there are any complications, I won't let you off. Bring more people over and give them some benefits." "Don't worry, I know what to do. Although those guards are not on the same side as us, wealth and friendship move people's hearts. In addition, they are involved in muddy waters, so they can only be used by US." Manager Yu nodded and gave a few more instructions before letting Guardsman Lu leave. Guardsman Lu went to the bank of the Eternal River and picked 50 guards. He said, "Follow me to the shrimp fishing spot to patrol." Although the guards felt that something was not right, Guardsman Lu was Manager Yu's trusted aide. They did not dare to resist and immediately followed Guardsman Lu to the shrimp fishing spot. Yun Chujio would arrange for 2 people to stand guard a few miles away from them every day. Today, it was Shen Wu and Wei Bia's turn to stand guard. When the 2 of them saw a figure coming from afar, they immediately ran back to report. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. Was he going to make a move? A moment later, Guardsman Lu arrived with his men in an aggressive manner. On the way, Guardsman Lu had already bribed these guards. Although these guards were somewhat afraid of Yun Chujio, they thought that killing those people from Group 9 would be as easy as flipping their hands. Moreover, if they did not agree, Manager Yu would probably not spare them, so they all agreed. Guardsman Lu glanced at Yun Chujio and the others, then kicked the fishing rod into the air hole. Then he said with a fake smile, "Group 9 has lost the fishing rod. Execute them on the spot." Guardsman Lu gave the order, and those guards immediately surrounded Yun Chujio and the others. Ding and the others were about to explode. This Guardsman Lu was simply too shameless. It was clear that he was trying to frame them. He was really getting more and more guilty. While they were angry, they were more in despair. Guardsman Lu had brought a total of 50 guards. Even if they risked their lives, they would not be a match for these people. Could it be that they were really going to die here today? At this moment, something flew out from the air vent and fell onto the ice. It was the shrimp fishing rod. Guardsman Lu, Ding-er and the other guards. Strange things happened every year, and there were a lot of them this year. Why did the shrimp fishing rod fly up on its own? Yun Chujio sneered. Guardsman Lu, the shrimp fishing rod wasn't lost, so can you revoke your order? Besides, you're just a guard. What right do you have to execute us? Don't tell me that you didn't enjoy the last time you overstepped your authority and wanted to be punished again? Guardsman Liu's face was livid. He really didn't understand why the fishing rod would fly out from the air hole. He said sinisterly, I didn't kill all of you. When the time comes, I'll report to Manager Yu. You all committed suicide because you lost the fishing rod. All of you jumped into the air hole to commit suicide. Guardsman Lu finished his sentence and kicked the fishing rod into the air hole again. However, almost in an instant, the fishing rod flew out from the air hole again. Yun Chujio looked up at the sky and said faintly, the heavens are watching. Good will be rewarded for evil. It's not that I don't want to repay you, it's just that the time hasn't come yet. Guardsman Lu, aren't you afraid of being punished for doing too many bad things? Chapter 55:12, Seeking Kong Dekong, Seeking Monthly Pass. Guardsman Lu was already trembling with fear due to the strange scene in front of him. Now that he heard Yun Chujio's words, he felt a chill run down his spine. He gritted his teeth and threw the fear in his heart to the side. He said angrily, Nonsense. I want to see what's going on in this air hole. If I find out, none of you will survive. He walked to the air hole and wanted to see what was going on. At this moment, Yun Chujio suddenly pointed to the sky and exclaimed, Oh my God! What is that? Everyone subconsciously looked up, but they found nothing in the sky except for the sun and the white clouds. At this moment, Guardsman Liu's scream was heard. When everyone looked over, Guardsman Lu had already fallen into the air hole. They only saw his feet struggling violently. In the blink of an eye, Guardsman Lu had already disappeared into the air hole. They could only hear the sound of life-saving voices coming from under the ice. After that, there was nothing but dead silence. A moment later, Yun Chujio slapped her thigh. Oh my God! Oh my God! Guardsman Lu, how could you be so careless? You actually fell into the air hole. Quick, save him. Everyone, we will just quietly watch you act. Save him? What did he do earlier? Guardsman Lu would definitely be dead by now. If he wasn't frozen to death by the icy water below, he would also be eaten by the 7-colored ice prawns and other sea beasts below. Furthermore, she had deliberately pointed at the sky and shouted. It was clearly intentional. Could it be that Guardsman Liu's death was related to her? Seeing that everyone did not move, Yun Chujio revealed a faint smile. What? You all suspect that I did it on purpose just now? TSK, I was just casually saying it. I didn't ask you to look at the sky. Is it my fault? Moreover, Guardsman Lu has always been thinking about the air hole. Now, he's just asking for a hole. The guards stared at each other, not knowing what to do for a moment. Yun Chujio picked up the fishing rod and placed it next to the air vent. She said with a smile, Guardsman Lu accidentally fell into the air vent during his inspection. It has nothing to do with you or us, don't you think so? The guards did not say anything. They were obviously still debating whether they should kill Yun Chujio and the others to report back or follow Yun Chujio's instructions. If you kill us, what do you think will be waiting for you? Guardsman Lu is dead. Will Manager Yu vent his anger on you? Moreover, you know about Manager Yu's secret of killing people. How do you think Manager Yu will treat you? The guards could not help but quiver. How would Manager Yu treat them? He would surely find an opportunity to kill them to silence them, right? Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips and continued. To take a step back, Manager Yu's conscience made him accept you as his trusted aides. However, you also know that Manager Yu's targeting me is most likely related to the death of Manager Yu from the Thousandwood Workshop. then it is obvious that Manager Yu will deal with Altar Master Deng sooner or later. When that time comes, when the immortals fight and the kids suffer, you, the trusted aides of Manager Yu, will not have a good ending. Upon hearing this, cold sweat broke out on the foreheads of the guards. In the battles of those in power, the sacrifices were usually made by their subordinates. If Manager Yu and Altar Master Deng fought, they would definitely not have a good ending. At this moment, Yun Chujio sighed and said, "In the end, we are all pitiful people who are at the mercy of others. Why do we have to be so aggressive?" When you go back, you can say that Guardsman Lu accidentally fell into a ventilation hole. It's normal for him to limp and fall in. As for the rest, there's no need to say anything else. After all, Guardsman Lu is only taking you on a routine inspection, right? Manager Yu glanced at the guards and saw that there was nothing unusual. He waved his hand and asked them to leave. After the guards left the courtyard, they looked at each other. Some of them secretly wiped their cold sweat. They had finally passed this hurdle. They silently decided to stay away from Chojio in the future. Guardsman Lu had died for no reason. If they offended her, they would definitely not have a good ending. Manager Yu had lost Guardsman Lu, but he had stopped for a few days. Yun Chujio originally wanted to use the 3 foodies in her dantian to break through, but she had no choice but to give up this idea. Because Buttface reminded her, "Little fairy, when you were struck by lightning, it won't take long for you to break through. But if you want to rely on the lightning power from the black bead and the others to break through, I'm afraid it will take a few days and nights. Your current situation doesn't allow you to do that." Chapter 55:14. Ding Er had a breakthrough. Yun Chujio only recalled this matter after hearing what Buttface said. Yes, she had to go shrimp fishing every day, and her breakthrough couldn't be interrupted midway. It seemed that she could only give up on this plan. Yun Chujio praised Buttface a few times, and Buttface's fragile little heart was somewhat comforted. Recently, Go Weiba had been in the limelight. If it didn't do something, it would lose its position as the #1 spirit pet. Yun Chujio didn't know what Buttface was thinking. Right now, she was thinking about how to pass the test. Although everyone had 3 chances, she was really uncertain. In the following period of time, out of Yun Chujio's expectations, Manager Yu was very quiet. He even took the initiative to switch their task back to ice picking. Ding Er and the others felt like they were barking dogs in their hearts. How great it was to fish for prawns. Not only did they have time to cultivate, but they could also eat meat in large mouthfuls. Now, under the eyes of those people, nothing could be done. Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little puzzled. What was this Manager Yu up to? On this day, Yun Chujio was called to Altar Master Deng's study. Once Yun Chujio entered, Altar Master Deng said with a smile, "Little girl, I have good news for you." Yun Chujio's eyes immediately lit up. What good news? During the Beast Tide, Ascending Heaven Dock lost many new examinees. In addition, there are only a few people who have reached the first level of the Divine Enlightenment realm. Therefore, the higher-ups decided that apart from the examinees who have reached the first level of the Divine Enlightenment realm, the examinees who can make it into the top 10 in a separate assessment program can also be considered to have passed the assessment. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. This was indeed good news. However, she immediately understood why Manager Yu had been so quiet recently. He was probably planning to take action during the assessment. After all, it was normal for people to lose their lives during the assessment. Altar Master Deng saw that she did not speak and mistakenly thought that she did not have confidence. He comforted her, "Although your cultivation level is a little low, your brain is good. You might have accidentally passed the assessment." Yun Chujio, was there such a way to comfort people? She blinked her eyes and asked, "Altar Master, may I know what the test is?" Altar Master Deng shook his head and said, "I don't know about that. The higher-ups did not reveal anything. There are still 3 days before the test. You should go back and prepare well." After Yun Chujio thanked him, she left Altar Master Deng's study. This fellow had nothing to prepare. Unless the heavenly lightning struck her now, it was useless to prepare anything. After all, she didn't know what the assessment would be about. Yun Chujio had just entered the dormitory area when she heard cheers coming from the neighboring 10 groups of dormitories. She vaguely heard the sound of congratulating the team leader for his breakthrough. Chen sure must have broken through to the first layer of the divine enlightenment realm. Yun Chujio thought sourly, Pui. What's so great about it? If it weren't for the thunderstorm, this fairy would have easily surpassed her. As she thought, she pushed open the door, but was blinded by a blinding light. Then she heard Shenwu and the others gasp. Ding had also broken through. Hei Xinjiu felt even more sourness in her heart. Was this one or two of them deliberately trying to anger her? Ding realized that she had successfully broken through to the first layer of the divine revelation realm, and she was going crazy with joy. Breaking through to the first layer of the divine revelation realm meant that she would soon become an official resident of the divine revelation continent, and she would no longer have to suffer in this soaring dock. It could be said that she had reached the sky in one step. Chapter 55:15, Provocation. Ding enjoyed the envious gazes of the crowd. From this moment on, she was fundamentally different from them, as different as the clouds and the mud. However, Ding Er's sense of superiority disappeared the moment she saw Yun Chujio's deep gaze. Even if she had wings, she had to curl up in this dormitory. Otherwise, Chojio might break her wings. Ding immediately restrained the smug look on his face and said respectfully, "Team leader, you're back?" Yun Chujio was very satisfied with Ding Er's tactfulness. She said graciously, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and bring me the washing water." Ding did not even have the intention to resist. He went to fetch the washing water. Shenwu looked at Yun Chujio with admiration. "Did you see that? The team leader was really awesome." Ding had already broken through to the first layer of the divine revelation realm, but he was still obedient. When they gathered the next day, Manager Yu told Yun Chujio what Altar Master Deng had told him before. Then he said, "This time, it can be said to be an extrajudicial favor. You must not miss this opportunity. Although there are only 10 spots, no one knows who the winner is until the last moment. You must work hard to fight for it." Many people's eyes lit up when they heard Manager Yu's words, especially those who were already in the final assessment. It was as if they had grasped the last straw. After Manager Yu finished speaking, he ordered everyone to go to work. When his gaze swept past Yun Chujio's back, it was exceptionally cold. After leaving the heavenly dock, Qin Shi, who had been acting like a man with his tail between his legs, walked in front of Yun Chujio and said provocatively, "Chojio, aren't you capable? If you are capable, you should try to break through to the first layer of the divine enlightenment realm. In the future, we are worlds apart. You can continue to stay in the heavenly dock and suffer." Ding curled his lips and said, "What are you being arrogant for? Didn't you hear what Manager Yu said just now? As long as the top 10 of the assessment can pass the assessment, our group leader will definitely be first." Yun Chujio said lightly, "Ding, keep a low profile. If I accidentally get second place, where will your face go?" Qin Shi, she had seen shameless people before. This was the first time she had seen a group of shameless people. "You're really not afraid of the wind blowing your tongue out. First place? If you can get first place, I'm afraid it will rain red in the sky." Chen Shi said with disdain, "I don't know whether it will rain red rain in the sky or not. If you keep making noise here, I won't be polite." Yun Chujio took out a dagger and waved it. Chen Shi saw the malicious smile on the corner of Yun Chujio's mouth and immediately felt a little flustered. She left with a harsh sentence and took her away. Ding said fawningly, "Team leader, don't pay attention to that idiot. You will definitely get first place in the assessment. When the time comes, she will be angered to death." Wei Ba sighed at the side, "How can it be that easy? There are so many candidates in the ascending heaven dock, and there are many who are close to breaking through. It will be too difficult for them to break out of the encirclement. Moreover, leader's cultivation is, well, a little low. The prospects are not very optimistic." Most of the others had the same thoughts as Wei Ba. However, they were not as close as Wei Ba and Yun Chujio, so they did not dare to say what they thought in their hearts. They felt that even though Yun Chujio had a stomach full of schemes, she still had to rely on her strength in the assessment. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to get into the top 10. Yun Chujio smiled and did not say anything. Whether she could do it or not, they would know when the time came. On this day, the once every 3 months assessment arrived. Chapter 55:16. The miserable Ding Air. All the candidates gathered in the big square of the sky-climbing dock. Everyone had different expressions. The candidates who had already broken through to the first layer of the divine enlightenment were naturally in high spirits. Their faces were full of impatience. Among the remaining people, those with higher cultivation levels were eager to try. They were very confident that they could get into the top 10. Most of them were anxious with a trace of hope mixed in. They hoped that a miracle would occur and they would be able to enter the top 10. A moment later, Altar Master Deng walked over with a few people, followed by the stewards. Yun Chujio scanned the clothes of those people. With a thought, she immediately understood the identity of these people. They were probably representatives of the major forces. Although ascending Heaven Dock had always been under the jurisdiction of the Union of 10,000 cities, the other forces still wanted to get involved. Therefore, it was normal for them to send people over during the assessment. Altar Master Deng said some pleasantries and then asked the candidates who had reached the first level of divine enlightenment to step out. Chen Shi and the others immediately suppressed their excitement and walked to the front. The judges glanced at them. Their cultivations were much higher than Chen Shi's and they could see their cultivations at a glance. Seeing that no one had any objections, Altar Master Deng was about to announce the results when an old man with a pointy mouth and monkey cheeks pointed at Ding and said, "This candidate's cultivation base is obviously unstable, so she can't be considered to have passed." Altar Master Deng frowned slightly and said, "Altar Master Deng, although her cultivation base is unstable, she has already broken through to the first level of the divine revelation realm." Before Altar Master Deng could finish his words, Altar Master Deng sneered, "What? As a judge, don't I even have this bit of power?" Altar Master Deng's eyes flashed with a hint of displeasure, but he couldn't insist. After all, whether Ding could pass or not had nothing to do with him. Therefore, he crossed out Ding Er's name on the list of candidates who passed. Ding never dreamed that the scene in front of her would happen. She was completely dumbfounded. She didn't even hear the order for her to return to the team until Chen Shi, who was beside her, tugged at her gloatingly. She then returned to the team of candidates in a daze. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. She didn't miss the eye contact between Manager Yu and Manager Shi. It seemed that Ding had been implicated by her. Altar Master Deng suppressed the unhappiness in his heart and said to Manager Shi, "Manager Shi, announce the rules of the next assessment." Manager Shi glanced at the crowd and said, "Due to the heavy casualties in the Beast Tide last time, the Alliance Master has shown mercy and given you a chance to jump through the Dragon Gate like a carp. If you can get into the top 10 in the next assessment, you will pass. I hope you will do your best and do not disappoint the Alliance Master's expectations." After saying some polite words, Manager Shi got to the point. "The rules of this assessment are not complicated. The Alliance leader has ordered me to bring the illusory sky banner here. Later on, you will be sucked into the first layer of the purgatory of the illusory sky banner. There are a total of 5 stages in the first layer of the purgatory. Only those who pass the stage will be teleported out. The 10 people with the shortest time will win. Don't worry. Once the 10 winners are decided, I will release the rest from the banner." Yun Chujio listened to Manager Shi's words while paying attention to Manager Yu's expression on the other side. When she saw a flash of malice in his eyes, she knew that there was something fishy about the so-called illusory sky banner, and it was targeted at her. Then the question came, should she participate in this assessment? Chapter 55:17. The illusory sky banner. Yun Chujio decided to participate without any hesitation. Without the heavenly lightning, she was not confident that she could break through to the first layer of the divine enlightenment realm in another 6 months, let alone another 6 years. Therefore, she had to seize this opportunity. Even if she knew that there was something fishy going on in the illusory sky banner, she could only do it without hesitation. Some of the examinees were confident that they could pass the next test, so they were not prepared to take the risk and gave up the chance to enter the illusory sky banner. Shen Wu and Wei Ba were a little hesitant. Their aptitude was not bad. Even if they could not pass the next test, they should be able to reach the first layer of the divine enlightenment realm the next time. Ding was also a little hesitant. He did not know whether he should wait for the next test or enter the illusory sky banner to try his luck. Yun Chujio guessed the thoughts of the three of them and said in a low voice, "If I pass the test this time, no one will protect you in the future, so you guys can follow me in." Shen Wu and Wei Ba also agreed. Besides, it was no big deal to go in and have a look, so they nodded. Ding thought more than the two of them. She suddenly understood why she was picked on by Manager Shi. It must be because of Chojio. Then, if Chojio really passed the test, wouldn't she be tortured by Manager Yu if she stayed in the quenching fire workshop? However, could there be a plan against Chojio in the illusory sky banner? Would she be implicated if she followed in? Ding felt that her brain was not enough. In the end, she gritted her teeth. After all, she had never suffered a loss when she followed Chojio, so she would fight it out. Thus, she also gritted her teeth and nodded. Yun Chujio looked at her heroic appearance and could not help but find it funny. She chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I have always been lucky. We will get what we want." As soon as Yun Chujio finished her words, she heard the people who had entered the illusory sky banner line up. The people in front of them were sucked into the illusory sky banner one after another. Soon, it was Yun Chujio's turn. Manager Shi's gaze paused on Yun Chujio for a moment. He wanted the benefits that Manager Yu promised him. His eyes immediately flashed. The illusory sky banner was completely under his control. As long as he could bring this wretched girl to the second layer of purgatory, she would definitely die. Thinking of this, Manager Shi waved his hands. The hand gestures of the hand seals changed slightly. He was full of satisfaction as he waited for Yun Chujio to be sucked into the second layer of the illusory sky banner. However, after he finished the hand gestures, Chojio was still standing there. He frowned. Could it be that his hand gestures were wrong? He performed it again and saw that Chojio was still standing there calmly. At this moment, the other judges saw that something was wrong and looked at him. Manager Shi was afraid that others would see through him, so he had to use the seal of the first layer of purgatory. However, after a while, he still couldn't put Yun Chujio into the illusion sky banner. This time, he couldn't help but feel a little awkward. Altar Master Deng didn't know whether it was intentional or not, but he said, "Manager Shi, could it be that there's a problem with the illusion sky banner? Or did you forget how to make the seal?" Manager Shi was both angry and anxious. He was also puzzled. Why couldn't he put it in? Could it be that there was really a problem with the illusion sky banner? He gritted his teeth, bit his finger, and dripped the blood onto the illusion sky banner. He muttered something and made another seal. This time, he finally put Hei Shinjio into the illusion sky banner. Manager Shi heaved a sigh of relief. Everything went smoothly after that. He put the rest of the people into the illusion sky banner. Chapter 55:18 was closed. Manager Shi cursed in his heart. No wonder Manager Yu wanted to kill that Chojio. What a troublemaker. If it weren't for her, he wouldn't have lost a drop of his blood to consecrate this illusion sky banner. In his anger, he sent his spiritual sense into the illusion sky banner, preparing to find Yun Chujio and teleport her to the second level of purgatory. However, his spiritual sense wandered around the first level of purgatory in the illusory sky banner for a while, but he didn't see Yun Chujio. He was puzzled. Could it be that he had accidentally sent that stinky girl to another level? This was also good. It would save him the trouble. Manager Shi was relieved. He withdrew his spiritual sense and opened 5 tests. Then he began to chat and laugh with the other judges. Manager Yu saw his expression and was sure that the matter had been settled. The pent-up anger he had accumulated over the past few days was finally relieved. The next step was that old thing, Altar Master Deng. What Manager sure didn't know was that after his spiritual sense swept over, a crack was opened on a big iron pot, and Hei Xinjia's little head appeared from inside. She only put away the big iron pot after she felt that no one was spying on her with their spiritual sense. After she was teleported inside, she quickly felt that there was a spiritual sense spying on her. She had an idea and hid inside the big metal pot. She also took off her spirit-concealing ring. She was sure that the spiritual sense was definitely from Manager Shi. As for why he was scanning inside, she didn't need to guess to know that he definitely didn't have good intentions. Her dark eyes rolled around. In order to avoid complications, she had to quickly pass the assessment inside. Otherwise, Manager Shi might cause some trouble again. While Yun Chujio was thinking, she heard a commotion in front of her. Her heart skipped a beat, and she quickly ran over. When Yun Chujio ran over, she saw that the other candidates had already walked into a bronze door in front of her. There were 5 big words written on the door: first level of the purgatory. Yun Chujio pouted. Purgatory? He really overestimated himself. The devil was indestructible, so what was the point of refining it? Moreover, this illusory sky banner was not a divine weapon. With such an arrogant name, he was not afraid of losing his life. While this guy was complaining in his heart, he saw Ding waving at him. Shen Wu and Wei Ba were standing beside her. Yun Chujio collected her thoughts and walked over with a smile. She waved her claws and said, "Let's go. They'll bring you guys to challenge the trial." In fact, many people from Group 9 had also participated in the test. However, when they saw what had happened to Ding, they were a little hesitant. They were afraid that they would be implicated if they were with Yun Chujio during the test. Therefore, they hurriedly followed the crowd into the purgatory and avoided Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was well aware of this. Everyone had their own choices. She did not force them. Besides, there were only 10 spots in total. If they were as sensible as Ding, she would be in a bit of a dilemma. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, she heard a loud bang. Yun Chujio and the others looked up and saw the bronze door closed. Closed? 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 Ding Er's heart was already miserable because he had been brushed off before, but now he had completely broken down. She wailed loudly. Her thick and sturdy body trembled like a small fallen leaf in the wind. There was a thick sense of hopelessness amidst the comical scene. It was over. She was completely finished. Manager Yu hated them so much. She was afraid that she would not be able to pass the next assessment. She would definitely be sent to mine. Shen Wu and Wei Ba also looked dejected. Putting aside whether they could get into the top 10 or not, if they could not enter the purgatory, would they be trapped here and die? Chapter 55:19. Never let go of her. Yun Chujio frowned and shouted at Ding, "Don't cry. What's the use of crying?" Ding felt that he hadn't recovered anyway. He was filled with anger and shouted at Yun Chujio, "Why are you yelling at me? I'm finished. My whole life is over. Even if I'm not sent to mine, I'll still be trapped here. I thought that if I hugged your thigh, I would have nothing to worry about. Who would have thought that not only did I not get any benefits, but now I'm actually implicated by you? Why am I so unlucky?" If I had known earlier, Ding saw Yun Chujio's deep eyes and could not continue speaking. Yun Chujio said indifferently, "If I had known earlier, what would you have done?" Ding took 2 steps back and mumbled, "If I had known earlier, I would have hugged your thigh. I wouldn't have let go of it." Shen Wu, Wei Ba, none of them were willing to submit to Ding Er. Yun Chujio was also shocked by Ding Er's words. It seemed that Ding was even more shameless than her. Cough cough, he was more sensible than her. Yun Chujio softened her tone. "Don't worry, it'll bring you out. It's just a small illusory sky banner. At worst, it'll just destroy it." Ding and the others did not know if it was an illusion, but they felt that the ground seemed to tremble. Yun Chujio walked to the bronze door and said coldly, "Open it. If you don't open the 3 numbers, I'll split open a door myself. 1, 2. With a creak, the door opened a crack. Yun Chujio curled her lips. She had not been put into the illusion sky banner before, so she knew that the illusion sky banner must have a Qi Ling. As long as there was a Qi Ling, that would be her home ground. Ding-er and the others were dumbfounded. How could this work? The door was open just by scaring them? Yun Chujio took the lead and walked in. Shen Wu and Wei Ba followed closely behind. Ding-er was the last one, and then he was stuck. Ding-er, damn it, I can't live anymore. Even this broken door is bullying me. In the end, Shen Wu and Wei Ba forcefully dragged Ding-er in. Ding-er was about to complain when he vaguely heard screams and noises coming from afar. They were probably trying to pass the first test. The four of them immediately walked forward. The more they walked, the more frightened they became. The surrounding walls were full of all kinds of torture murals, and the ground was full of bones. From time to time, there were even skeletal hands reaching out from the walls. It was simply terrifying. Shen Wu was almost grabbed by the skeletal hands again. She was so frightened that she cried out repeatedly and hurriedly followed behind Yun Chujio. This was because she discovered that she, Wei Ba, and Ding-er were attacked by the skeletal hands from time to time. However, the strange thing was that Chojio had not been attacked once. Ding-er also noticed this and muttered in his heart, could it be that this skeleton is also afraid of evil people? Yun Chujio looked at the skulls that occasionally appeared on the ground and couldn't help but think of Shui Wuji. When that idiot first saw her, he would occasionally use the fake skulls to scare her. Who would have thought that they would become life and death friends in the end? If she guessed correctly, Chi-Chi should be in the Divine Enlightenment continent. At that time, that idiot with the black chicken head would definitely show off Ray Air. Thinking about it, it was really infuriating. It was all the fault of that damned Goei Butzao. If it wasn't for it, perhaps she and the pretty boy's little bean would have been able to join in the fun. Goei Butzao, who was being scolded, it was also convinced. Why did this smelly girl scold it when she saw the skull? Who did it offend? Chapter 55-20, Get Lost. Yun Chujio and the other three quickly caught up with the people in front of them. It was not because they were walking fast, but because they were so frightened by the horrifying scene in front of them that they did not dare to continue walking forward. Ding-er pursed her lips when she heard those people mumbling something like, "It's too scary, and if we go over, we will definitely be courting death. Make way, make way, make way. A bunch of cowards. What's there to be afraid of? Let me go over first." She had completely forgotten how scared she was when she saw those skeleton hands. When she saw the situation clearly, she wished she could sew her mouth shut and said embarrassedly, "Everything comes first, you guys came first, you guys go first. I'm not in a hurry." Everyone. At this time, Yun Chujio walked to Ding-er's side and her gaze fell on a place about 100 feet ahead. The two walls on the left and right sides were filled with skeleton hands, and there were countless half-skeletons hanging above them. The hands kept waving, and the sound of their teeth making creaking sounds made one's hair stand on end. Occasionally, skeleton hands would appear on the ground. One could imagine the consequences if they were caught by these skeleton hands. There were also a few tragic corpses on the ground. Judging from their clothes, they were obviously candidates for the assessment. Wei Ba said weakly, "Team leader, let's not go there. Anyway, manager sure will let us out after a long time. It's not worth the risk." Shen Wu and Ding-er did not say anything, but they nodded their heads like chickens pecking at rice. This place was too strange, so it was better not to take the risk. Yun Chujio said lightly, "Just prop up the spiritual energy shield and walk over. It's not a big deal." After she said that, she lifted her leg and walked forward. Ding-er and the other two looked at each other and quickly followed. Not only did the three of them prop up the spiritual energy shield, but they also activated all of their treasures, afraid that something bad would happen to them. The rest of the examinees had looks of contempt on their faces. Did this Chojio really take them seriously? It was no big deal? She would know how powerful she was in a short while. Yun Chujio quickly walked to the place where the skeleton hands were wreaking havoc, and the skeleton hands began to wave wildly. Yun Chujio snorted coldly. Get lost. Almost as soon as this guy's words fell, the skeleton hands and half of the skeletons seemed to have been frozen by someone, and they stopped moving. Yun Chujio strolled into the room casually. Ding-er and the others quickly followed her. Indeed, it was better to lean against a big tree to enjoy the shade. Even the skeletons did not dare to provoke them if they followed this evil person, Chojio. The people behind were all dumbfounded. How could this work? Seeing that Yun Chujio and the other three had passed the first test leisurely, the remaining people could not stay any longer. Immediately, one of the candidates imitated Yun Chujio and shouted at the skeleton hands, "Scram!" After that, there was no after. The word scram became his last words. Ding-er turned around and saw this scene. He was so scared that he trembled. In his heart, he was even more certain that he would not let go of Yun Chujio's thigh. He would not let go even if he was beaten to death. Yun Chujio did not care about what happened next. She continued to walk forward with Ding-er and the others. Although there were still skeletal hands that stretched out from both sides of the road from time to time, Ding-er and the others followed Yun Chujio closely. They did not encounter any trouble. In the end, there were still some candidates who relied on their spiritual weapons to pass the first test and caught up. They looked at Yun Chujio and the other three with some vigilance. After all, there were only 10 spots in total. They were all competitors. Chapter 55-21. Deja vu. 15 minutes later, everyone stopped in their tracks. There was no skeleton hand in front of them, but a blood lake appeared. The candidate threw a low-level spiritual pet. The spiritual pet turned into a blood mist the moment it touched the surface of the lake. Everyone gasped in shock. Someone took out another low-level spiritual pet. The spiritual pet fell straight toward the surface of the lake. It was obviously impossible to fly over. Some people didn't give up. They took out a boat, but they could only watch as the boat turned into blood. Everyone's faces were filled with despair. They couldn't cross the blood lake no matter what. At this moment, Yun Chujio lifted her leg and stepped into the blood lake. The moment she stepped in, the lake water split into two, and a tunnel appeared in the middle. Ding-er's mouth was wide open. "Oh my God! There was such a godly operation!" she exclaimed as she followed behind, muttering, "I'm the team leader's lackey. Don't hurt me by accident. I'm on the team leader's side." Shen Wu and Wei Ba also quickly followed. Their hearts were also filled with shock. How could this work? The other candidates also quickly followed. However, the person at the front had just stepped into the tunnel when he let out a shrill scream and turned into a bloody mist. The others were so scared that they immediately shrank back. Even if they didn't pass the test, it was better than losing their lives. After Ding-er followed Yun Chujio through the blood lake, he was very proud when he saw those people who looked desperate on the other side. Sometimes, choosing was more important than working hard. The next 2 tests were exactly the same as before. Yun Chujio didn't use any spiritual power and led Ding-er and the others through. Soon, they arrived at the last round. There was a black stone wall in front of them, and a sinister voice could be heard, "Why aren't you kneeling when you see me? Quickly kneel down." Ding-er and the other 2 could not help but kneel on the ground when they heard the sinister voice. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. Why did this voice sound so familiar? Just as she was thinking about it, the voice sounded again, "How dare you? Why aren't you kneeling?" Ding-er was so scared that he quickly pulled on Yun Chujio's skirt, signaling her to kneel down. Yun Chujio ignored Ding-er and said indifferently, "Why do I feel that your voice sounds familiar? Have we met before?" "No, impossible. I've never seen you before. I don't know you either. Stop talking nonsense and kneel down quickly. Otherwise, I won't be polite." The voice said in a flustered tone, but it was clearly a little flustered. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. Skeleton? Purgatory? This voice? And those little tricks from before? Yun Chujio immediately had an answer in her heart. She sneered and said, "Bone spirit, isn't it good to be alive?" What bone spirit?" I don't know what you're talking about. Hurry up and kneel down, or I won't hold back." I'll kill you. This time, even Ding-er and the others could hear the panic in the voice, and there was even a hint of trembling. Yun Chujio curled her lips. This voice was clearly the red skeleton from the inheritance prison. Back in the ghost realm, she had entered the inheritance prison several times to deal with this bone spirit. In the end, it even helped her take in those pure Een girls for a period of time. Yun Chujio said indifferently, "You didn't stay well in the inheritance prison, so why did you come to the illusion sky banner? Are you so bored that your balls hurt? But that's true, you don't have any eggs at all." The voice immediately felt ashamed and angry, and scolded loudly, "You stinky girl! You shameless ugly freak! You don't have any eggs! Shameless!" Chapter 55-22 met the red skeleton again. Yun Chujio was not angry because she did not have eggs to begin with. She said lightly, "All right, since we are old acquaintances, let's meet. Don't you like young ladies the most? Here, I brought 3 for you." While Ding-er and the other 2 were stunned, a red skeleton appeared in front of everyone. "Those 2 young ladies are all right. Are you sure this is a young lady?" Although the red skeleton did not have eyes, Ding-er could still feel its intense disdain. Ding-er gritted his teeth in his heart. Damn bone spirit. He deserved to be scolded by the team leader. It would be better if the team leader broke him into pieces. Yun Chujio's gaze swept over the red skeleton. "Tell me, why did you come here from the prison of inheritance?" The red skeleton said proudly, "The purgatory in the illusion sky banner is just a part of the prison of inheritance. Let me tell you this. The illusion sky banner is just a courtyard for me. I'm not usually here. After all, this place is full of grievances. How can it be as carefree as the prison of inheritance? I just don't know which idiot used blood as a sacrifice to lure me here. Fuck, he'll teach him a lesson later." A part of the inheritance prison? She had previously felt that the red skeleton was hiding a lot of things from her. Now that she looked at it, it was as she had expected. The red skeleton glanced at Yun Chujio's deep gaze. It quickly said, "I didn't mean to hide it from you back then. This illusory sky banner was only recently refined by someone. Before it was refined, there was no way to open the purgatory inside." Yun Chujio did not believe his nonsense, but now was not the time to settle the score with him. It was better to pass the test first. "All right, I don't have time to waste with you. Give me a few of the treasures in the purgatory and send us out." The red skeleton said helplessly, "It's not that I'm stingy, but there are no treasures in the purgatory. You'd better leave as soon as possible." Yun Chujio sneered and stepped forward to kick the red skeleton into pieces. "Do you have it or not?" "Little lady, please stop kicking it," the red skeleton said with a sobbing voice. She hated the person who sacrificed her blood in her heart. Damn it, if it wasn't for that idiot who summoned her, would she have to suffer such an undeserved disaster? This was great. Not only would it bleed, but this wretched girl also knew that the illusion sky banner was related to it. In the future, she might torture it whenever she had nothing to do. Why was its life so miserable? It subconsciously neglected one thing. It could have directly teleported Yun Chujio out without showing itself, but it was unwilling and wanted to take revenge. Who would have thought that Yun Chujio would see through it instead of taking revenge? The red skeleton quickly reassembled its parts. In a hurry, it even put its 2 arms on the wrong side. It was as comical as it could be. Ding-er saw it from the side and felt relieved. It deserved it. It deserved it. "Where's the treasure?" Yun Chujio asked coldly. The red skeleton kneeled on the ground with a plop. "Great, this is only my courtyard. There really is no treasure here. If I lie to you, I will never grow an egg." Yun Chujio, as if it could grow that thing. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "It doesn't matter if you don't have any treasures. Aren't there other candidates here? You can scare them and ask them to hand over all their valuables. Well, split it 30-70. I'll split it 70-30. How about that?" Chapter 55-23 was too shameless when Ding-er and the others heard Yun Chujio's words. They were all dumbfounded. It was too sinister. It was too shameless. It could actually come up with such a wicked idea. It was blatantly harming others for its own benefit. The red skeleton clearly did not expect Yun Chujio to come up with such a method. It was stunned at first, then it said excitedly, "Little great aunt, you are indeed my little great aunt. You are so smart. This plan is good, but isn't 30/70ths a little inappropriate?" Yun Chujio glanced at it. "How about 20/80ths? You are 20/80. The red skeleton, you are only 20. Forget it, forget it. 30/70ths it is. I will go and threaten them now. You wait here." Yun Chujio curled her lips. "If you dare to hide it, HMH." The thought that the red skeleton had just had instantly vanished. Could this wretched girl be able to read minds? She could guess what it was thinking. What the hell? The red skeleton quickly returned with a bunch of storage rings and said smugly, "That bunch of cowards. I called out all the storage rings with just a little scare. Little aunt, come, let's split the spoils. I can't wait." The corners of Ding and the other two's mouths twitched. The only one who could talk about splitting the spoils so righteously was probably this skeleton. Yun Chujio did not have the time to look carefully at the things in the storage ring. She just gave some to the red skeleton according to the number and kept the rest in her storage ring. The red skeleton gritted its teeth and put away its small pile of things unwillingly. "I will think of a way to get the illusion sky banner in the future. When that time comes, I can often come in and play with you. Aren't you very happy?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. The red skeleton almost howled. Happy? It was not a sadist. However, when it thought about it, this wretched girl was just a weakling now. There was no way for it to get its hands on the illusion sky banner. What was there to be afraid of? Hence, it said against its heart, "Happy, I'm really too happy. About that, I'll send you guys out now. Don't delay the official business." Yun Chujio naturally knew what the red skeleton was thinking. However, she saw through it and did not say it out loud. She nodded and said, "All right, send us out." The red skeleton immediately sent Yun Chujio and the others out of the illusion sky banner. Manager Sher and the others were chatting because they felt that it would take a few hours for someone to pass the test. After all, it was 5 tests. Therefore, when they saw Yun Chujio and the others being sent out, they were all stunned. Especially Manager Sher and Manager Yu, their faces were ashen. Altar Master Deng was very happy. He did not expect that Cho Jio, this little girl, was so lucky that she actually passed the test. He quickly ordered the people at the side to record the names of Yun Chujio and the other 3. The top 4 would definitely pass the test. Manager Sher's face was very gloomy. He was thinking of finding an excuse to invalidate the results of Yun Chujio and the other 3. At this moment, the candidates who were waiting for the test were sent out one after another. However, the candidates who were waiting for the test had a complicated look on their faces. Those who were ranked in the top 10 were better, but those who were ranked behind had a miserable look on their faces. Fuck, not only did they fail the test, they even put all their wealth into it. They were so unlucky. Could the mastermind be that Manager Sher? What assessment? He was clearly taking the opportunity to amass wealth. He was too fucking shameless. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.